every single day as a seller is you have 100 things to do. 20 of those things is super valuable, going to move the needle for your business, going to drive growth, going to make things more profitable, be good for the brand, etc. And you get time for 5, not 95, 5. And that means that tomorrow, the other 95 things you didn't pick go away. Those opportunities don't come back because tomorrow you have another 100 opportunities. You can't hand them off to your team without being aware that your team also already has 100 things. And anything you add to their list becomes item 101, 102, 103. They still only have time for 5. And so in my experience, there are only 2 skills that separate effective entrepreneurs, and surprisingly, neither of them has to do with data.
I love to leave the audience with 3 actionable takeaways from every episode. So here are the 3 actionable takeaways that I noted. You let me know if I'm missing something here. Action item number 1 is to don't disregard the data, right? I think it is being able to approach data with the mindset of, yes, I have a lot of different data reports that I can run, but I don't have to look at all 100 different metrics. Identify and prioritize what are the 5 key metrics. And so action item number 1 is for you and your brand specifically. What are those key metrics? Choose 5 that you can look at every day and have a report that is delivered to you, whether it be a VA that's running the report or not, but you should be able to log in every day. That's something that I do. And what I do is I'm focused on profit and revenue at this point and contribution margin. Okay. So when I log in every day, that's what I'm looking at. Those are my kind of leading / lagging indicators that will tell me, hey, we're going in the right direction, or hey, something weird happened yesterday. We need to correct this. And if you are looking at that in real-time data rather than, hey, I got to wait until, it's the middle of, July until I can get my books for June and then see like, were we profitable last month? It's like, oh my goodness, like you're straight up driving your vehicle and your business like you're driving your car, but only looking through the rear view mirror trying to go forward, right? Like you can't do that. And so having real-time data on a daily basis to help inform the decisions that you make so you can make faster and better decisions in that day is going to be what allows your business to scale faster. So that's action item number 1. Action item number 2 is then, I'm going to say one of your 5 priorities needs to be SKU-level profitability. Okay. So make sure that in your business, even if you only have 10 SKUs, right? Get to the root of each of those and understand like what are their contribution margins? What's their profitability? Because maybe you have a pet project that is your number 9th in terms of profit, but is actually your number 1 in terms of revenue, right? And maybe it's actually sucking all of the profitability out of your business, but you don't know it because it's your number 1 seller. And so maybe there are things that you can do. Maybe it's the FBA fees that you could change. Maybe it's your advertising that you could change to impact that and try to course correct. But SKU level profitability will open up efficiency in your business. And then my 3rd and final action item is to look at the data for trends and opportunities. As you look to the future, right, it is, you touched on it, right? Could be a TV show clip that engage or ignites a whole new category in and of itself, or it could be a TikTok trend. And if you're not focused on SQP data and understanding like where the search volume is going in the market, you will be left behind. And the ones that stay ahead of that curve and are looking at that on a day-to-day basis, guess what? They're going to launch better products that meet the market demand where it's at, and they'll ride the waves quickly. And it's always be launching, right? So how do you always be launching? Stay ahead of the curve. See what people are searching for. So, Andrew, anything else that you would add to those 3 action items there?
Just one thing that came up, as you're mentioning speed and, how do you manage this data and take action like quickly, 5 KPIs, et cetera. I think one thing that causes a lot of brand owners a lot of angst, whether they'll admit it or not, is fear of getting that wrong. Like, I don't know data, or I think I know data, but what if I don't actually know this data as well as I do? What if I make a really terrible decision for my business? And there are certainly times when that's going to be the case. Like when you're getting ready to sell your brand, for example. Don't listen to me. I don't know anything about prepping your brand for exit and the minutiae required to, turn your business into a financial asset and all the ways that works. But there are a lot of times when the level of precision that you need with data is not actually that high. And people, I think, get in their own way by thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have enough data, or it's going to be too hard for me to understand, or I don't have enough complex data, etc. You do. I promise you do, in almost every single instance. And so I guess the last piece of advice that I'd give your audience is to look for what I call head in the hallway feedback opportunities. And these are opportunities for you to test a hypothesis with a handful of data points collected super scrappy without needing to wait. And I call it head in the hallway because imagine that you are in college in the dorms, and it's Friday night and you're getting ready to go out. I know it's been a minute for you and I, Josh, but let's go back in time here. And you only have 2 clean shirts left in your closet, and you put on one. You think you look okay, but you're not sure. So you stick your head into the hallway and you ask the first 3 people that walk by, hey, what do you think of my outfit? And the first 3 people that walk by all look at you and say, it looks hideous. Oh my gosh, it looks terrible. What are you going to do? Are you going to say, cool, well, that was 3 data points, but I'm not really sure. I need another 147 or so to reach statistical significance and get a really true signal on the quality of my outfit? Or are you going to turn around and change your shirt? Pretty sure you're going to change your shirt, right? And that's the right thing to do. It's the right signal you got. And certainly waiting for 147 more data points to reaching statistical significance isn't going to add any value to that outcome. You got the signal you needed right away. And I would say, even as a data person and as a big data person, a surprising number of decisions come down to head in the hallway feedback and can be made as well with head in the hallway feedback as they can with big data, because sometimes you just need a signal.
Yeah. I love that analogy there of being at the college party and you need to go change your shirt, right? And getting quick feedback and being able to make a decision quickly. I also believe that is one of the biggest growth levers for a brand, is the speed of decision making, right? Let data be the guide, but don't get so wrapped up in the data that it slows you down in being able to make that decision. And really the best way that I like to frame it is like, what if you were getting 80% of the decisions that you were making correct? Would your brand be growing? Yes, of course it is. And guess what? The decisions that you make are incorrect. Those are going to be things that you learn from, that you refine, and you're like, okay, good. I made this mistake. I'm not going to do that again, but it helped get us to the right answer faster. So if you just sit there and mull over it, though, for weeks and months, somebody that just took action and learned within 1 week that's like, oh no, that was a bad call for whatever reason, but now here is the actual point that we need to be focused on so that I can make better decisions, and that's done within 2 weeks, whereas somebody that went through thousands of data points to try to get to the right answer and still might not end up at the right answer, right, is just far behind. The world is moving at a faster and faster pace, and so the decision makings need to be faster as well. And there's 2 different ways to look at your decisions. Is this a decision that I can course correct if I make the wrong decision? Or is this an irreversible decision? Most decisions, 99% of them, are going to be reversible decisions that you could change. If you make the wrong call, so what? You can recover. Your business is not going to go to bankruptcy because of one decision. There are those 1% decisions where maybe it's you decide to implement black hat tactics for your business that can suspend your account, or you're not paying attention to your Amazon business and it does get suspended and you're kicked off the platform for good, right? Those are irreversible decisions that you have to make for the business, but there are so few of those. So I would just say, don't worry about it. Make the decision, move forward, iterate, and move quickly. So love that you doubled down on that, Andrew. All right, my final 3 questions for you. Number 1, what's been the most influential book that you've read and why?
Specific for this audience, it is a huge cliche in the MBA world, even though I don't have an MBA. But there's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy that I think pretty much every MBA is required to read these days. And it's made its way down to undergraduate business classes as well, which is where I read it. But I strongly encourage sellers who maybe don't have a formal business background to pick up that book and take a read, because it helped me understand competition and positioning in a way that was really inspirational for me starting my own company, and that I think is super, super relevant for anybody else that is considering an Amazon business, particularly in the modern era of hyper competition. What it teaches you is they have a concept called the strategy canvas, where you evaluate your business and you structure your business on competitive differentiators that nobody else is using. It's very tempting, for example, to start an Amazon business and say, what do I want to sell? Okay, I want to sell a massage gun, just to use a completely overdone category. And what do I want to compete on? Well, I want to compete on the speed and the strength and the price and the battery life, the same things that every other person is competing on in the space. And what Blue Ocean Strategy teaches you is that that's the path to a bloody ocean. You're competing on things that everybody else is already talking about, has already established value props in, then you're always going to be the challenger. And unless you have figured out something like, a new law of physics or an arbitrage situation or something black hat, you're not going to be able to have a sustained advantage against those people. It's just not possible. Instead, what you need to do is consider, how do you create an entirely different competitive landscape with attributes that you define, instead of being beholden to the ones that everybody else is already playing on. And the key example that they give of this, or one of the ones that sticks with my mind, is Cirque du Soleil. For anybody who doesn't know what Cirque du Soleil is, this is the super, super expensive, beautiful, high production circus acts that you see mostly in Vegas, but sometimes also around the world. Like $100 to $500 a ticket. Incredible athleticism and performance across many, many disciplines. And people forget that Cirque du Soleil is a circus, and that it was launched to compete with P.T. Barnum and Ringling Brothers and tent circuses with animals, etc. And what Blue Ocean Strategy shows you is that when Cirque du Soleil was launching, they considered, okay, how do we compete? Do we need to have, what's going to be in the main tent? And like, what animals do we need to have? And what magicians and so forth and so on? And like, what concessions? And instead, they completely blew this whole model up, and they said, no food, no drink. We're going to go super, super upscale. We're not going to have any animals. And instead, we're going to go like incredibly high end with production values. We're going to go with choreography to a degree that nobody's seen before. We're going to go for scale and magnitude. And they created a product that literally had never existed before. And they were wildly successful because of it. And now you have a ton of people that try to clone Cirque instead. They've made their own category. And that's essentially what Blue Ocean Strategy tries to teach you to do, is don't try to become competitor 25 in somebody else's category. Invent your own whenever possible. And it's not as hard as it sounds. It can be as easy as defining your category through attributes that nobody else is choosing to use.
Yeah, love it. Well said there. All right, question number 2. What's your favorite AI tool or chat GPT prompt that you've been using?
There are so many, and I'm going to go with a really, really boring answer here and say that net of all of the crazy things that I've tried, my favorite has come all the way back to Midjourney, and that's the image generation tool in Discord. And I say this even after all of the crazy new updates from ChatGPT's image generation capabilities and the giblification of all images everywhere, etc. Having been a designer for a long time, and I started my career in web and graphic design in the pre-Amazon days, this has been near and dear to my heart. And I got really excited, as well as a little intimidated by a lot of these new generative AI image creation capabilities, and especially with the new open AI stuff. You saw all of the LinkedIn posts talking about this is the end of graphic designers and so forth and so on. And boy, was that overstated. holy cow, if anybody's actually used the tools, you figure out very quickly where the edges are, even with the best prompts in the world. And so this brings me back to Midjourney. What I really, really like about Midjourney, even now, is the flexibility and the specificity that the tool gives you. For example, OpenAI, you still got to create an image that's a specific size. Midjourney is the only image gen tool that I've used that consistently lets me create images along specific dimensions that I like, and then alter existing images to fit into different sizes, shapes, etc. This can be super, super useful, whether you're doing things like taking an existing image and turning it into a banner for LinkedIn, but also turning product images from squares into slide decks or whatever else that you need. It also, I think, has much, much more nuanced image generation capabilities, even now, just given the number of direct commands and controls that Midjourney still has baked in. It is less of that, oh my gosh, wow, magic factor. But if you're a serious designer or you have specific things that you're trying to create rather than just flashy stuff, I still say Midjourney is an incredibly powerful tool and underpriced at the whatever it is, $8 or $11 a month that they charge you.
Love it. Great recommendation. All right, final question. Who is somebody in the Ecomm space that has impressed you, whether it be building a cool landing page, PPC hack, supply chain, project management? Who's impressed you lately?
I'm very regularly impressed by people in my space because I, coming from Amazon, have a very, very specific lens on what it means to run a business. And especially when I meet sellers, I'm constantly learning stuff. But I think the person that stands out most recently is Jason Boyce. Have you heard of Jason?
I've had him on the podcast.
Have you? Oh, perfect. Well, Jason and I met a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and we've been building a friendship and a working relationship ever since. And Jason strikes me as one of the single smartest human beings in e-commerce that I've met. He has firm ideas and thoughts and is unafraid to voice them, and is still extremely humble about having those thoughts and firm beliefs disproven if the data shows that's where they go. Jason earned my trust really early on by in our first meeting disagreeing with a tenet that I held and being unafraid to tell me, like, well, I don't think that's true. Actually, in our experience, it's exactly the opposite, and giving me a 5-minute I won't call it lecture, but 5-minute deep dive on why that was true for him and his business. Instead of, I think some people might be put off by that, but I am so eager for feedback. And the higher up you get in a company, and now as the leader of a company, nobody gives you feedback. Certainly none of your peers and none of your teammates that you can necessarily feel is 100% true, because there's power imbalance. And so I trust and I rely on objective third parties like Jason to challenge me in my thinking and help me evolve that thinking really, really rapidly. And Jason's been a really good partner for that.
Love it. Great recommendations. Andrew, if people want to follow you, learn more about you, where can they do that?
Our website is reasonautomation.com. That's where you can learn everything about us. But I am also hyperactive on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/Andrew Hamada. Go find me there. I post more than is probably healthy, and I respond to most comments and questions. So just let me know if you have something to say.
Awesome. Andrew, pleasure having you on the show today. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Josh.
Thank you for listening. Visit ecommbreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.